I'd like to talk about three more things briefly.
Okay.
Um, one is the question of what is a synopsis?
Did someone ask that?
No,
Oh, you're asking me.
I'm asking that. Yeah, because it's an important part of the process. So a synopsis, a log line, and then the third thing is more of a commentary. And I'll wait until the end to get to that.
Okay. A synopsis is just
Of course, the definition will be very useful, but also why it is that writing a synopsis and then writing a log line is such an important procedural part of this craft or this process.
right. Well, from a process standpoint, I would say it isn't,
Oh, okay.
and I would also put them in the opposite order. Um, I would say that one of the important things to do early is to try to write what, again, something I got from Writers Boot Camp, to write a premise line. Now, a premise line is very similar to a log line, but from a development standpoint, it has a very specific function that has nothing to do with marketing. It can become really useful in marketing later, which is what you really need a log line for. But its function is purely development. Basically, what a premise line is you take your 5 story components and you work them together into one fluid, exciting sentence that explains your story.
Can we use Goodwill Hunting as an example to formulate a premise line?
Honestly, right now, my brain's.
Oh, well, if you no, that's okay. But if you have a premise line, maybe from another example, something that you have in your wheelhouse, or we can get to it later too.
Yeah, I mean, I can probably post some examples, but
Jerry Maguire.
yeah, it's too late. My brain's too mushy to to think of. But I mean, basically, it just means take all of your 5 story components, put them into one fluid, exciting sentence that explains what your story is and how those 5 components work together to make up your story. And that's important because if you can do that, that means that you are crystal clear about each of those 5 major components and you're crystal clear about how they work together. And if you're that crystal clear about all of those components, then it becomes much easier for you to brainstorm using those components. You're not going to find it in there, dude. All right, I'll find you. Keep going. Keep asking me questions, and I will find you an example of the premise line.
I just work so much better with examples. I don't know.
No, it's totally fine.
You got it?
Yeah, it's probably gonna take me a minute to find one, but let's see.
Well, while you're doing that,
Yeah, keep talking, and I'll find it for you. It's just that my brain is a little mushy right now, so. But keep going.
I don't know what to talk about.
You know,
I need
do
a
a little,
subject.
do a little soft shoe.
A little soft shoe. Just start making things up here as I go along.
Yeah.
You know what? Let's not look for a premise line,
Oop, I'm almost there.
and let's move on to synopsis because I think we have the premise line
Right.
defined at least, and then you
Right.
can post one later. So let's go
Sure.
on to a synopsis.
Okay. Now, basically, again, I would not call it a synopsis. A synopsis is a marketing tool.
Okay.
All right. A synopsis is a tool for you to express what your story is about in an exciting way in anywhere from, I don't know, 250 to 500 words, a half page to a page.
And as a
Right.
development tool, that's important. Why?
But that's not a development tool. That's a marketing tool.
Yeah, but isn't that part of the process?
Well, no. What I was going to say next is that and this is actually a whole huge conversation in and of itself. I mean, this could take an hour.
Nutshell.
So, but one of the things that is part of the process is developing what I would call like a 1-page story map that eventually could become your synopsis, but its early function is much different. Its early function is to allow you to see how it's basically you go from the 5 story components to brainstorming a bunch of scenes to then breaking down your script into a bunch of like manageable 8 to 10 page units, so to speak. And how does my story, what happens in my story in each of those pieces, right? How do my characters interact with the genre and the story and all of that to make the next thing happen, all right? It's a way to help me make sure every point in my script is fully developed, that I'm including all of my components in as many different spots in my script as I can. And that map, which is something that you start early, and you will revise maybe 25 times, maybe more, I don't know. That can eventually get to the point where it's fluid enough, and it's dynamic enough that you could basically use it as your synopsis.
Okay. I'm going to steal something that I've heard you say many, many times. I know it's one of your favorite subjects.
Okay.
As part of the commentary.
When his wife divorces him, a negligent father boldly takes on the care and parenting of his reluctant son until his ex-wife attempts to regain custody. Do you know what movie that is? I do.
You caught me by surprise. Do it again.
It's an old one too, though. When his wife divorces him, a negligent father boldly takes on the care and parenting of his reluctant son until his ex-wife attempts to regain custody.
Kramer versus Kramer.
There you go. Very good. So
You got another one?
it's not, but I mean,
You got another one?
I can find another one, sure. Credit to Writers Boot Camp on that one too.
All right.
Here's a whole page of them.
Give me this one.
Which one? The Graduate or Rocky?
You gave it up.
Okay. You want people to try to guess?
Yeah. Let me see one. Let me look.
Just that page.
Just that page. Well, then let's go with this one.
Okay. All right, so everybody out there has to try to guess what movie this is, but this is kind of an easy one, man.
Go for it.
When a selfish weatherman finds himself reliving the same day in a small Pennsylvania town, his repeatedly rejected attempts to bed his producer force him to change his ways in order to get her love.
Groundhog Day.
Yeah.
All right, good. We have 2 examples. That's good enough.
But notice in each of them, right, I'm talking about a main character with a specific misbehavior, a dynamic character who has some sort of dynamic relationship with that character. Sometimes there is an opponent. Groundhog Day is basically a romantic comedy, and in a romantic comedy, the dynamic is usually also the opponent. It's usually the same character. There's something that they do. There's an adventure, and you can tell basically by the word choice what the genre is. So all 5 story components are there.
That's really useful.
Yeah.
Okay.
And again, one more time, I didn't come up with any of those. Those are all from Writers Boot Camp.
Cool. And thank you so much for that.
Yeah.